On any in-stock, newer, pre-owned SUV, and Lamoille Valley Chevy will include 4 winter snow tires for just $1. You heard Pat. Get a great deal at the fall foliage blowout sale at Lamoille Valley Chevy, just past Stowe and Morrisville in the beautiful town of Hyde Park, Vermont.
The Brady Farkas Show is produced and funded by WDEV and the Radio Vermont Group. We welcome listener feedback. Email your comments to wdev@radiovermont.com.
The energy. We walked around for 35 minutes just in the parking lot looking for this car.
The passion.
UVM schedules the way they do to get as high a seed as possible in the NCAA tournament and to get as much tournament prep as they can because they're not going to get it from their league.
The opinions on all your favorite teams.
The organization should be taking care of Matt rather than Matt taking care of the organization.
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Brady Farkas Show back at it here on a Wednesday on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Full show again today, all 90 minutes up until 7 o'clock. Then it's Jazz with George Thomas. Tom Caron of NESN is going to stop by with us at 5:45. You'll hear the best of my conversation with Freddie Coleman from ESPN Radio earlier today. You'll hear that about 6:40 or so. Little more, we'll talk a little bit more on the Patriots. It's Bruins opening night, so we have a full show. When you can get in on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line, 802-585-3026, your locally owned Napa stores in Waterbury and in Morrisville.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts on the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center. Locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. Let's just start here. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Some of you have been asking for it. Some of you have asked for it on the text line. Some of you have asked for it on Twitter. Some of you who know me have texted me to my personal number wanting to hear it. So here you go. You want to hear my reaction to the Mariners' choke job yesterday, and you want to hear my reaction to this.
Here's the pitch. Swinging, there's a drive. Suck to right. Back it goes, and that's a walk-off shot. A walk-off shot. Jordan Alvarez has done it with a 3-run blast in the bottom of the ninth. And Houston pulls it out 8-7. Holy cow.
I watched the game on tape as I said I would. I made it through the whole night without getting it spoiled to me, so I didn't finish watching it until 9:15, and it ended earlier, about 7:15. Yes, the Mariners were up 4-0. They were up 6-2. They were up 7-3. And the ninth, they were up 7-5. They ultimately blew it and lost 8-7. So the Astros won. They have a 1-0 series lead. And now I'll give you my thoughts, okay? Because, again, so many of you have reached out and asked for it. I could have gone the whole day without talking about this, but I had so many people reach out and ask me if I was okay and if I would speak about it. And some saying, I want to hear your reaction, so here you go. I've got my thoughts broken up into a few discernible buckets. First, just pure baseball-wise, that Mariners game yesterday was nothing shy of a complete choke job. That's all it was, right? If that were the Red Sox doing that, you would call it a choke job, and that's what I am calling it. When you have a 4-run lead in the playoffs, you should win the game. It's that simple. It ends there. They had a 4-run lead on 3 separate occasions. In the playoffs, that is inexcusable. Absolute choke job. You can blow a 7-3 lead in April and get away with it. You can't do it in October, and that very well have doomed the Mariners season. When you chase Justin Verlander after just 4 innings, you have to win. Choke job. When you have your bullpen set up perfectly for the 8th and the 9th inning, you have to win. Choke job. When you walk the 9-hitter in the bottom of the 9th, who is a pinch hitter, a rookie that honestly I have never, ever heard of, that is a choke job. When you have 2 outs and 2 strikes on a strikeout-prone number 2 hitter in Jeremy Pena to keep the inning going, and you can't get him out, that is a choke job. There is no other way to describe it. Okay? The game, from a pure baseball perspective, was a choke job. For 7 innings, the Mariners did everything they wanted, and they ultimately lost. So there you go. Text says, Brady, cheer up. The Red Sox have been worse. The Red Sox have 4 World Series since 2004. So, no, I'm not. That doesn't make me feel better. When you score 7 runs in a game, you should win. When you chase Verlander, you should win. When your bullpen is gassed up, you should win. They didn't. It's completely inexcusable. My gut tells me the Mariners were never going to win this series anyways because the Astros are just better. But my gut now tells me that the Mariners are going to just get pummeled. That's what my gut says. Could they come back like they have many times this year? Could they be resilient like they have many times this year? Sure they could. They just came back from 8-1 in the last round against Toronto to win the game. So it is possible. I saw them get swept in 4 games by the Red Sox. They got beat 4 out of 5 in a series by the awful Angels and then went 22-3 at one point. They blew a 9-run lead against the Royals and then won 7 of their next 10. So they've been resilient all year, but my gut tells me the Astros are physically better, and now they have the total mental edge too. So my gut tells me it's over, and my gut tells me it's going to be ugly. That's where I'm at. From a pure baseball standpoint, that's where I'm at. Now, what you all want to hear, I'm sure, is how I'm feeling emotionally today. I'm hurt. Of course I'm hurt. I hate the Astros. Not only do I love the Mariners, I hate the Astros. And the whole thing is made worse because this happened against them. I'm jealous of the Astros. I'm resentful of the Astros. I'm tired of the Astros. I'm tired of the Mariners being the Astros' little brother and being the Astros' punching bag. I'm tired of Altuve. I'm tired of Bregman. I'm tired of Alvarez. I'm tired of all of them. I'm in a bad mood today. I'm angry. I'm hurt. I know the Mariners are playing with house money. I know I'm just happy that they're here. I expected them to lose this series given how good the Astros are, but to lose that way like yesterday, getting punched in the gut, it hurt even more than I imagined. And by the way, I'm also going to throw this in just because I am also a genius. In addition to feeling horrible today, I am a genius because I know my team and I know the Astros. And yesterday, as I was avoiding all of your updates and all of your attempted spoilers, at about 6:50 yesterday afternoon, I said this right before the show ended. 6:50 yesterday, this is what I said. You have sent texts in trying to ruin it for me. I don't know exactly what's happened. Mariners could have blown it. They could be in the process of blowing it. They could have run away with it. I have absolutely no idea. So, up 4-2. They were up 4-0. You're up 4-0, you should win. But I have no idea if they will. To be honest with you, I have very little faith that they will because the Astros, I've seen it too many times. There was a season where the Astros went 17-2 against the Mariners. 17-2. I've seen it too many times where Bregman and Altuve and Alvarez just ripped your soul out. So, if that happened, I wouldn't be shocked. We'll find out here. That's what I said at 6:50 yesterday. Pretty much dead on, right? I said I'd have little faith. Check. I said I've seen it too many times. Check. I've said I've seen Altuve, Bregman, and Alvarez specifically. Check, check, check. So at least while I'm emotionally scarred today, at least I go to bed knowing, hey, I'm pretty damn smart at this thing because I know my team and I know them. I said they might be in the process of blowing it, and they were. I knew it was coming. I've seen it my entire life. I'm also going to live. Okay? I'm also going to live. I've seen a lot of sports heartache in my life. I'm pretty well calloused here in this department and pretty well conditioned. I've seen my basketball team up and leave town in the middle of the night only to see the Oklahoma City Thunder that replaced them get gifted with Durant and Westbrook and Harden and get to the NBA Finals short after. I've seen Russell Wilson throw a pick at the goal line in the Super Bowl. I've seen the Seahawks hosed by the ref in the 05 Super Bowl against Pittsburgh. I've seen the Mariners lose every way possible. I've seen them lose on walk-off homers and back-to-back days. I've seen them be eliminated from the playoffs in the last day of the season. I've stayed up till 2 a.m. to see them blow saves. I've seen them get no hit 3 times in one season. I have seen just about everything you can see. I'll get over it. I just hope the team does. And look, baseball is a beautiful game. It's my favorite sport in the entire world. Okay? You all like football the best. I respect that. That's why we talk so much football. But I love baseball the most. I waited 20 years for this stuff. 20 years since the Mariners last made the playoffs. Really 21 years, 20 full seasons. I waited 20 years for the euphoria of the wins, and I waited, unfortunately, 20 years for the pain that can accompany those wins. This is part of the package, right? This is part of the package. They could have lost a mediocre 6-1 game. It still would have hurt. It probably hurts more that they lost the way they lost yesterday. But nonetheless, the playoffs is about pain. And when you're in the playoffs, you always have a chance to have your heart ripped out. Okay? Buffalo Bills fan had their heart ripped out last year by the Kansas City Chiefs. Being in the playoffs is setting yourself up for pain. I waited a long time for the chance to be this hurt. I read a great story today about the Mariners that was called The Price of Hope. Yesterday afternoon, that is the price of hope. You know how many bad Mariners games I've watched in the last decade? How many no-name lineups I've watched trot out there? How many good players I've seen traded away? One awful, painful rebuild. This is the cost of all of that. Getting to the playoffs, you earn the right to create a lifelong memory, and you earn the right to have your heart broken. And when you're in it this deep and you're invested this much, it's going to hurt. For 20 years, I didn't have to experience that because my team never mattered. This is what I was waiting for. So I've been begging for the Mariners to make the playoffs for so long. I'm not going to turn my back on it now. It hurts. It sucks. I'm angry. I'm frustrated. I'm annoyed. I'm all of it. But for 20 years, I didn't have to feel any of this because my team was garbage. I've been begging to be in this spot. They finally are. And when you beg to get to this spot, you risk what happened yesterday. For years, I was hopeless as a fan. Yesterday, unfortunately, right, when they beat Toronto in the series, that's the reward for having hope. Yesterday, that's the punishment for having hope. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. 802-585-3026. Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury. Text line 802-585-3026. Phil in Middlesex. Brady, it's not over yet. Keep the faith. Bob in Moncton. At least you have a venue to air out your frustrations. Think of all the Mariner fans that don't. That's true, but I don't know. Some of you, I think, care about me, the person. Some of you are just happy to hear me be frustrated, and some of you probably like me going off the rails, but I didn't even think anyone was going to care about my feelings on this. So I'm only doing this because people asked. I will say this. You know what frustrates me more than anything? You know what frustrates me more than the Mariners' loss? What bothers me is the amount of text message I got right as yesterday's collapse was happening. That makes me more mad than the game itself. I finished watching the game at 9:15, but the game evidently ended at 7:15 because I go back to my phone afterwards and I see 6 text messages, some from people I barely know and others from people I barely talk to who were saying things like, wow, or WTF, or what just happened? Got news for you. If I know you, if I barely know you or we barely speak, I don't need to hear from you on my personal line in that moment. Advice to everybody out there. This is just standard living procedure. When someone you know has just had their heart ripped out, if you barely know that person, don't reach out and say, wow. Don't reach out and say, why'd they do that? Don't reach out and say, wow, what just happened? Hey, guess what, buddy? I just saw what happened. I'm fully aware of what happened. You don't need to ask me what happened. It's one, like, if we're boys, if we go back and you've lived this pain with me as a Mariners fan, we go back to high school or something, and you want to say, hey, man, tough loss. I'm sorry. I was rooting for him. Go get him in game 2. I'll accept that. But if we haven't spoken in 6 months or a year and 6 months, I don't need you to message me right after and say, wow. Yeah, no blank wow. I saw it. I don't need you, person who is not my friend, who doesn't speak to me, who doesn't ask about any aspect of my life, to pop in my messages and tell me, hey, what just happened? You saw what happened. I saw what happened. You don't need to reach out to the only Mariners fan in your contact list just to get just to get the conversation going. I don't want it or need it. The people who I care about in life, who care about me, they reached out and said nice things. Other people reached out and were like, wow. Yeah, no blank wow. Newsflash. If somebody you barely know has had their heart broken, don't reach out to them. That's like me, person I went to high school with, if they get divorced. I haven't spoken to them in a decade. Hey, sorry to see it didn't work out with Melanie. Guess what? They probably don't need to hear from me in that case either. My God, 802-585-3026. 802-585-3026. Seriously, the people who reached out who were nice and supportive, thank you. The people I barely know dropping wow, not a fan. Didn't need it. Not a fan. And there was multiple. So there was if there's one person I'm thinking of specifically, okay? There's multiple that got to me. There's one that I'm thinking about specifically. Let's get to Tom Caron of NESN here. TC.
Looking for the latest information on the Red Sox?
Not only is David Ortiz a Hall of Famer, but he is one of the best of the best.
How about the Bruins?
Are they a Stanley Cup champion? Probably not as presently constructed, but they're a playoff team.
Then you've come to the right place. We talk now with NESN insider Tom Caron.
Baseball isn't boring because there's still nothing like the communal gathering of fans at a baseball game.
On the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
All right, yes, I'm still frustrated here on WDEV AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Let's go out to the phone line now and bring on Red Sox and Bruins insider over at NESN, and probably for the next few minutes, my own personal therapist, Tom Caron. TC, how are you?
I'm doing better than you, Brady. How you doing?
Let me ask you this. It's interesting. Baseball is such an amazingly beautiful yet cruel game. I waited 20 years for the euphoria of Cal Raleigh sending the Mariners to the playoffs. I waited 20 years for them to win a playoff series like they did against Toronto. And I also waited 20 years for the opportunity to have my heart broken like last night. It is just a cruel, cruel, and beautiful game.
It is, and I mean, it does bring up the age-old question. Yesterday, would you rather be a Red Sox fan or a Mariners fan? Are you better having not had the chance to love? Is it better to have loved than lost than to have never loved at all? That's the beauty of it, and as gut-wrenching as that was for Mariners fans, at least you're in it. That's what you've been waiting 2 decades for, is that 4 hours of absolute agony, of breathlessness, of pacing. But that ending, I mean, I can't see any way. They had their shot. They had their shot against what I think is the best team in the American League, maybe in baseball. And they missed the mark, and I don't know that you get another shot.
Yeah, I was going to ask, in your experience, what happens next? Do teams that experience heartbreak like that get off the mat and scratch and claw and show the resilience they did over 162, or do they lay down and should I be expecting 8-1 and 12-0 the next 2 games?
I think more of the latter than the former. I do think that there's no recovering from that, and if you're the Astros, now it's not just a matter of the Mariners, I think, are psychologically damaged. I just think the Astros now are going to play with even more confidence, which is the last thing you need. You had them potentially a little rusty, right? That was the narrative at that point going into the 9th inning. Wow, I guess you really can't wait around 6 days to play a baseball game. And then, they get up in the 9th inning and they wake up and they get rolling. And I don't know that the day off is a good thing for the Mariners either. Something to be said about getting right back on the horse and not thinking about it. Sitting around for 48 hours stewing in it might not be the ideal situation.
You have some experience with what I had yesterday. Pre-2004, that was the Red Sox also, right? Now, 86 and 2004 mean more, or 2003 certainly mean more than what the Mariners had yesterday, game 1 of a division series. We're not talking about the ALCS or the World Series, but it's made worse for me in that I don't like the Astros. It has nothing to do with sign stealing and all that. I'm beyond that. It has everything to do with pure jealousy that they've been the team in the Mariners' way for the last decade now, and I'm tired of them. that was you with the Yankees. That has to make it worse. Like if they had done that against the Royals, I probably wouldn't have been as upset.
If they done it against the Royals, it would have been in April. But yeah, no, you're right. And listen, all of America was kicking their TVs. Everyone outside of the greater Houston metro area was banging their countertops and kicking the ottoman yesterday. Everybody wants the Mariners in this series. Nobody likes the Astros. I do have a soft spot in my heart for Jeremy Pena, the University of Maine grad who stepped in for Caron and has had a great year. So I didn't mind seeing him get the base hit with 2 strikes and 2 outs. I thought that was pretty impressive. After they walked the number 9 hitter. But you're right. I mean, the fact that it was against the Astros, I'm not a Mariners fan, but I like the Mariners. I always have, and I like an underdog. And I think, that was a frustrating thing for all of us who were only casually interested in the game yesterday. It was like, come on now. You had them. You had them on the ropes. You led by 4 3 different times in that game. You got to put that away. And by the way, hated the move, hated it in real time. And I tweeted, leave relieving to relievers. And I instantly got a face full of Chris Sale. Chris Sale came in with a 4-run lead, and it was his 3rd career playoff relief appearance. You don't panic in game 1 and bring Robbie Ray in after there's 2 guys on and 2 outs. I just thought that was a really bad move. And by the way, Alvarez absolutely he destroys lefties. I get it. But I didn't like the move. It seemed like a panic move in real time. And one thing I've learned watching Alex Cora over the years is the best playoff managers are the ones who don't seem to change because they're in. Now, again, I'm saying that having watched Alex Cora use starters in relief roles, and that's how he got through 18 to win it all because he didn't have the bullpen. But you don't do it in the 9th inning with 2 outs and 2 on for the first time. You just don't.
It's interesting, though, as someone who's watched the Mariners all year, like their bullpen is not cooked. I would not say that, but that's carried them all year. But it's definitely not as good as it was a month ago. Like Sewald has been bad for a month. I would not have left him in. I would have gone to Kirby, but he's a rookie, right. And he's going to start game 3 now. That's what I would have done is I would have gone to Kirby, but then you're putting a rookie in.
Game 3 is 3 days away. He could have pitched an inning there.
Yes.
I just didn't like Robbie Ray. He didn't look good. In the wild card game, and I just didn't, I didn't like the move. I said when he went to him, I was like, oh my God, what are you doing? It's just not against Alvarez. My God, you just do. I mean, all you're hoping to do is keep him in the park. I don't even know if you had a hope to get him out. You're just hoping to keep him in the park.
Tom Caron, Red Sox Bruins insider at NESN with us here on the Brady Farkas show. Look, I've had my fair deal of sports heartbreak, right? Like I've seen my favorite players traded away. I've cried at Griffey getting traded back in the day. I've seen my basketball team leave town. I've seen Russell Wilson throw it at the 1 in the Super Bowl. So I'm kind of calloused over at sports heartbreak. What's your most devastating fan loss?
Oh, I mean, I'm old enough to remember Bucky Dent. In 78, that might be, I'm old. I was a freshman in high school and was playing on the freshman football team, and we had snuck, it was a Monday afternoon game, if I recall, and we snuck a radio in. So when we'd huddle up we were scrimmaging, we'd huddle up between each practice and we'd turn up the radio and listen to what was happening. I would have to say the Bucky Dent moment. I mean, I was older and I was covering the Aaron Boone moment. So that's a different kind of trauma, standing outside the Red Sox clubhouse and looking at and stepping aside as the champagne cart was wheeled out of the clubhouse, and all the plastic is getting torn down. So that's a little different because you got a job to do. But as far as pure, a kid and the heart-wrenching moment, it would have to be Bucky Dent.
Yeah, I think for me, I think it hurt. I think it hits different when you're a kid. Like, I think I'm more hurt by when I was 12 years old in 2001 than winning 116 games and going out in 5 in the ALCS. Like, I think that wasn't one moment, but I think that hurts me more than whatever happens this year.
Yeah, No doubt, and it will, because you just look at it differently. I've watched moments of my kids. The Patriots losing that first time they lost a Super Bowl game, and watching their reaction to it, heart wrenching it was to watch them process that loss to the Giants. So yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And back in the day, we lived through a lot of it. Too many men on the ice for the Bruins, and just I mean, even to an extent, like when Len Bias passed away, that was a traumatic moment for a Boston sports fan. And I remember, just how stunned we all were for a couple of days, because if you go way back, that was Len Bias was going to be the big transition from the big three to the future. They had sort of put it together, so they had a superstar coming in. I mean, those things when you're younger, they stay with you. I'm getting fired up just talking about all this right now.
Well, I was going to ask you about Red Sox arbitration projection numbers, but I decided the therapy session was more important to me today.
We got time for that.
Let's go to the Bruins. Bruins open up tonight against the Capitals, and kind of give me the fans might know it, but the beginner's guide to the Bruins here in 22-23. New coach, no deal yet for Pasta, and a bunch of injured superstars. Where are we at right now with this team?
Yeah, really, to me, unknown. I mean, I just really don't know what this season is going to look like. You've got the new coach and a new voice and a new system that they've wanted. I like Jim Montgomery a lot. I think he's going to be a really good coach in this team. But specifically, Grizzlick and McAvoy, and I know there are other really important injuries, but 1/3 of your defense and arguably your number one and your number four. Are out. Can you tread water till they come back? You're getting the band back together. You got old guys coming back. They had Marchand and McAvoy were out on the ice looking pretty good yesterday. So I don't know how long it's going to be. But you just got to see. I think if everybody was healthy, you'd look at a team that really kind of put together a roster that I think made up ground on some of the top teams in the Atlantic, but I just don't. I don't know what they're. Will it be too big a hole to dig out of by the time they get healthy? And if other guys get injured on the way, which is always a possibility in hockey, I don't know where they'll go. But I mean, it's really just about treading water here till you get healthy. Can you hang around and draft with the top teams? Stay close enough that you put together a run, because what's really unique about this is the injuries lead to that uncertain beginning, and looming on the back end is, the window's open, but not by much. I mean, these guys are getting older. You've brought back older guys. You didn't really flip anybody for younger guys. And we don't know how much longer this band is going to be able to play. So you've got kind of an all-in feel without everybody being there to be all in. So that's a really unusual way to look at a start of a season.
Where are we at goaltending-wise? Because it was a big discussion last year and Swayman's emergence. Where are we at with the net keepers?
That's a great question. And, I'm a Swayman guy, kind of have been. I didn't like signing another goalie for that big of a deal and for that much money. But I don't know how you got a new guy coming in. Excuse me. Best case, I think, is obviously if you can get one guy to be the guy. I think it should be Swayman, because I think he played pretty well last year. There were inconsistencies, no doubt about that. But I think he's ready to become the number one guy. And maybe a step towards that is 50-50 or closer. But by the end, we were confused early on. Allmark went on that run and I think looked pretty good for a long time. But I like the future of Swayman. Let's get him in and see what he does.
Tom Caron, Sox Insider, although no socks today, just vintage socks, which wasn't fun socks. And then Bruins Insider over at NESN. TC, I hope you've enjoyed some Division III soccer over the last week, watching your son. And
big win. I know a lot of fans wrote about the Hobart. Big knockoff of the 20th ranked Clarkson Golden Knights last Saturday. So
did you make that trip? Was that up to in the North Country?
I did. No, it was it was out in the Finger Lakes. I will get to the North Country at the end of the season. We wrap up against St. Lawrence in the last game of the year, which is a cool 6-hour drive from here.
Fun fact, my first ever college start was against St. Lawrence. My first win, 6 innings, 6 walks, 6 strikeouts, got the win. I think I threw 139 pitches in 6 innings. It was a true.
And was it snowing? I feel there had to be snow.
It was cold. It was the end of March. It was cold, but it was not snowing. But I did go there another time in my college career where it was like 27 with the wind chill at first pitch.
Yeah, not good. Not ideal.
Division III baseball in March and April. So, TC, appreciate you.
Thanks. Appreciate it, Brady. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. I'm going to need it for sure. Appreciate TC being my sounding board for a bit. I got a lot to react to with TC on some devastating fan moments as well as the Bruins opening night. We'll do all that coming up next after the CBS National News Update here on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com, and always streaming on the free WDEV radio app.
96.1 WDEV FM Warren, 96.5 W243 AT Barrie, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Liberty Mutual Insurance.
I'm Peter King in Orlando. He falsely claimed that the Sandy Hook school massacre was a hoax and that victims' families were crisis actors. Alex Jones claims it was his right to say so under the First Amendment. A jury disagrees and says those words have consequences.
When the verdicts were all finally read and the numbers were added up, the total was $965 million. For the families, a degree of vindication after Alex Jones accused them of taking part in a massive hoax. Robbie Parker lost his 6-year-old daughter.
For anybody that still chooses to listen to that man, just ask yourself, what has he ever given you?
Jones attorney Norm Pattis calls the decision dangerous.
Today is a very, very, very dark day for freedom of speech.
Jones has now admitted after years of denials that the killings took place. Steve Futterman, CBS News.
Within the past hour, Los Angeles City Council President Nuri Martinez announced that she has resigned her council seat amid uproar over racist remarks. Actually, she had resigned as president and took a leave of absence. COVID boosters getting younger. CBS's Alexander Tin.
The CDC says it now recommends children as young as 5 years old get an updated COVID booster shot at least 2 months after they were last vaccinated. Pfizer says it can ship up to 6 million doses of its new pediatric formulation for the updated boosters within the coming week, which can be given to kids as young as 5 years old, while Moderna's updated boosters for older age groups that are already in pharmacies and doctors' offices can be administered to kids as young as 6, just in a smaller dose.
NATO members say they're with Ukraine for the long haul. That recommitment comes as President Zelensky asks for more financial support to rebuild the country after relentless Russian attacks. He's heard here through an interpreter addressing the World Bank and International Monetary Fund.
Terror has to lose. Ukraine has to win, and that's absolutely real with your support.
President Biden has declared part of a Colorado Army base as a national monument. Here's Stephen Portnoy tells us why.
It's President Biden's first use of the Antiquities Act.
It's a permanent decision, an action that no future president can overturn.
Mr. Biden has decreed that the Camp Hale Continental Divide National Monument will be forever protected. The camp south of Vail, Colorado, was an Army training ground in World War II. There, soldiers learned how to fight in the Alps.
I taught my boys to ski here. I taught my family to ski here.
The president also paused new oil and gas drilling nearby in a move Republican critics call a land grab. Stephen Portnoy, CBS News, Washington.
The Dow closed down 29. This is CBS News.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance, so you only pay for what you need. Visit libertymutual.com to learn more.
Do you owe the IRS $8,000 or more? Are you a few years behind on your filing? Are you going through an audit and have no idea what to do? You need an ally fast. Ally's Tax Relief Negotiators can protect you from all IRS collections, but have you called them today? Their team of enrolled agents, tax attorneys, and CPAs are your allies to fix all your tax problems. Take the first step to getting the IRS off your back. Call Ally's Tax Relief today for a free consultation. 800-957-0325. Ally's Tax Relief. 800-957-0325.
I'm Tamron Hall. Doesn't your family deserve the best? Eggland's Best Eggs. Classic, cage-free, and organic. Give you and your family more delicious farm-fresh taste, plus superior nutrition. Compared to ordinary eggs, Eggland's Best provides 6 times more vitamin D, 10 times more vitamin E, and 25% less saturated fat. These are no ordinary times, so why choose an ordinary egg? Only Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Would you believe somebody actually got paid to find out which actors use the saltiest language in the movies?
What do you like, the leg of the wing? The study by Crossword Solver finds New York actors have the foulest mouths of all, but it's Joe Pesci, born across the Hudson in Newark, who's the worst offender. He's dropped the F word in movies 272 times, 241 utterances in Casino alone. Al Pacino comes in second at 197. Robert De Niro, tame in comparison.
Around paradise on earth.
With 42. Denzel Washington's delivered the most S words in his acting career with a total of 84. Julia Roberts, the only female actor in the top 25. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News, New York.
NASA's Artemis moon rocket launch has been delayed by technical trouble and hurricane, but the space agency says it hopes to launch on one of 3 dates in mid-November. Peter King, CBS News.
Make your opinion heard by texting onto the Brady Farkas Show at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Full show, all 90 minutes, up until 7 o'clock today. In honor of the Mariners' loss yesterday, epic collapse against the Astros, I'm asking you, what is the most disheartening loss you've ever experienced as a fan? 802-585-3026. The most disheartening loss you've ever experienced as a fan. Yesterday for me was pretty bad. So jump right into my nightmare, everybody. The water is warm, and let's all talk about it together. The most disheartening loss you've ever experienced as a fan. We'll get to some of the Bruins stuff here momentarily, but I do want to get back to kind of this topic with Tom Caron. And Tom Caron mentioned the Bucky Dent home run, 78, the game 163, I believe, that Monday afternoon he was talking about. Jack in South Burlington says the second Patriots-Giants Super Bowl. And, it's so interesting, too, because, in my mind, I'm like, okay, Patriots-Giants Super Bowl, the Patriots had already won a bunch of Super Bowls. But I know Jack, and I know how old Jack is, so that is when Jack was a kid, right? The Patriots weren't winning a bunch of Super Bowls that Jack can remember. So that age for him was that was a hard loss for him. In my mind, I'm like, so what? Patriots already won 3 by that point. And for him, it's like, no, I didn't remember those first 3. I got that was the one that meant something to me. And ultimately they lost it. And that kind of gets back to something else I was talking about with Tom Caron. To me, losses always hit different when you're a kid. Losses always hit different when you're a kid. That's how I feel about it. I don't know if you all feel the same way. I am hurt by yesterday. Trust me, I'm angry, I'm sad, and I'm frustrated. Don't get me wrong. But when you are younger, I think it always hurts more. Right? I think it always hurts more. Now, I reserved the right, if yesterday had been the World Series or if yesterday had been the ALCS, like the Red Sox in 03, I could very easily amend that statement. But right now, from where I'm sitting, those losses hurt more when you're a kid. Okay, the 2000 Mariners, the first Mariners that I really remember being on board with, being in the playoffs, they lost to the Yankees in 6 games. I was crushed. Arthur Rhodes gives up a home run to David Justice, left-on-left matchup. I remember it. I remember to this day, 22 years ago, that Arthur Rhodes gave up a home run on a fastball to David Justice. And I will never forget that. I was 11 years old. That crushed me. That really hurt. That hurt more than yesterday. The 2001 Mariners that got to the ALCS, that won 116 games, the most wins in Major League Baseball history, got beaten in 5 games by the Yankees. That, to me, hurts more. I was younger. That team, I didn't even get to watch that team that much because things like MLB Extra Innings and MLB TV didn't exist then. So that was a team that I couldn't even watch, that I felt so attached to. That, to me, hurts more. I was 12 years old. Okay? Seeing the Seahawks beaten in the Super Bowl at 15 by the Steelers, that hurt me more. seeing the Matt Hasselbeck home run, or there's the Alvarez home run on TV there next to me, got me all distracted. The Matt Hasselbeck, we want the ball and we're going to score interception, pick 6 by Al Harris. I still can't look at Al Harris to this day because of that play when I was like 13 or 14. To me, that's always going to hurt more. Maybe if this was the World Series, I'd feel differently. It was just the division series, and it was just game 1. It didn't end the series, at least mathematically. But to me, I'm always going to feel worse as a kid. Yeah, this is predictable. Phil in Middlesex, Game 6, 86 World Series against the Mets. Yes, absolutely. I can imagine. World Series in Game 6, that would be crushing. That's certainly more crushing than yesterday. No doubt about that. Kyle in South Burlington. Yeah, the 1978 one-game playoff against the Yankees. That's what Tom Caron said, the Bucky Dent home run. Another texter says, Miami beating the Celtics in the bubble was tough. Yeah, see, the bubble didn't mean as much to me. The championship is legitimate. The Celtics the top seed in the bubble? I can't even remember. I think they were. I think they were the number 1 seed in the bubble, if I'm remembering correctly. So, yeah, that is tough. And Miami was like the 5 seed. So that did hurt. And I was so happy to have sports back that, I think it did hurt more too. And it doesn't hurt like other things have hurt, at least to me. Tex says, yeah, the Keith Smart Indiana versus Syracuse championship. Yeah, that would be tough if I were a Cuse fan. Text also said, what is worse, a Red Sox win, or what is better, a Red Sox win or a Yankee loss? A Red Sox win is certainly better. Because if the Red Sox have won, that means the Yankees have lost. That's how I consider that. So, yeah, look, we've all been through heartbreak, right? Every single one of us as a fan has been through heartbreak. I can go through right now and think about, if I'm just going to look, who hasn't been through heartbreak? The Detroit Lions. That's pretty much a team that hasn't been through heartbreak because they're never any good. But beyond that, most teams have experienced heartbreak. I'm looking at the NFL teams right now. Buffalo Bills, 4 straight Super Bowl losses, heartbreak. Norwood, wide right, the ultimate heartbreak. Losing last year in the, giving up, 20 points inside 2 minutes against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, heartbreak. The Jets, back-to-back AFC title games, never getting into the Super Bowl. The Dolphins have had heartbreak. With Marino, I believe they got to a Super Bowl and didn't win it. Chiefs have had heartbreak. They lost the Super Bowl to Tom Brady. How many times did they fail with Marty Schottenheimer in the playoffs? The Broncos have had heartbreak. Now, they have had some successes, but they lost to Green Bay in the Super Bowl back in the late 90s. They got killed by Seattle in the Super Bowl. They've been beaten by the Patriots how many times en route to their Super Bowls? So you go through every team, and there's heartbreak. Every fan base experiences it in some way or another, and I experienced it yesterday, and it was absolutely emotionally gutting. And guess what? I'm gonna get to go and do it again tomorrow. Our friend Lou, former Norwich hockey player, says, yeah, Norwich men's hockey losing to Middlebury double overtime in the national championship game in 2004. Yes, local fans, that would be heartbreaking as well, no doubt. How about if you're talking about UVM getting beaten by UMBC at the buzzer by Jarius Lyles, and then UMBC goes on to win the first ever 16 versus a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament by beating Virginia, the top-ranked overall number 1. We all experienced it yesterday. Yesterday was tough. And again, we're going to do it all again. We're going to do it all again tomorrow. So, all right, speaking of hockey, Bruins, they do open their season today. I can't believe it. It just feels like the off season for hockey and basketball is so short. It just feels like yesterday that I'm watching the Warriors win the NBA title and I'm watching Colorado skate off with the Stanley Cup. But here we are. We played 2 games yesterday. We played games in Prague a week ago. And here we are tonight, Bruins and Capitals, 7 o'clock, about 45 minutes from now. And we talked about the Bruins with TC. I don't want to completely dismiss the Bruins, but I'll be honest, I don't have my Bruins antennas up completely yet. And frankly, if not for the Ime Udoka scandal, I wouldn't have my Celtics I am not really ready at this point for winter sports seasons, but here we are. And there are interesting storylines for the Bruins. As we talked about with TC, they have a new coach. Jim Montgomery's taken over for Bruce Cassidy, who is now in Vegas. Jim Montgomery, who's been an NHL head coach before with the Dallas Stars. He's being brought in because Cassidy was seen as too prickly, too demanding for a veteran roster. So I imagine that Montgomery will be a gentler coach. Doesn't mean he won't hold guys accountable. I don't think he's going to be a pushover, but you're not going to see him, at least you shouldn't see him, be calling out guys in the media. He's probably not going to be as demanding when it comes to early morning skates and all that. Not going to be as demanding, not as grading on professional players, or on veteran players, rather. So I'm interested in seeing how Montgomery looks here in the early part of the season, what his attitude and temperament is, and how much kind of is him leading versus just letting the players lead. I think that was one complaint that the Bruins players had, that like, hey, we got veteran guys. We don't necessarily need Cassidy riding us so hard. So maybe Montgomery lets the players, have more say and have more input. To TC's point, the Bruins have brought back an older roster. The window isn't completely closed, but we've known this for a while. It is closing. It has that, as TC said, an all-in feel without all the players being there to be all in. Bergeron's back. Krejci's back. Marchand is hurt, but he's there. Obviously, Hall, Lindholm. I mean, there is a definite, DeBrusk is back. Like, there's a definite urgency there because the band, look, they could have blown it up, right? They could have traded Pastrnak. They could have moved on from Marchand if they wanted. They could have not brought back Krejci. They could have not brought back Bergeron, but they did. They brought the band back together. So there is that urgency to prove the organization right. I would say because of the injuries that the Bruins have, they're likely to be better at the end of the season than the beginning. They do need to just tread water and stay afloat here early in the year, right? Marchand and McAvoy probably out the first 2 months of the season. That's a problem. Grzelcyk out for probably the first month, so your defense is certainly going to be impacted without McAvoy and Grzelcyk. So you don't have Marchand, you don't have McAvoy, you don't have Grzelcyk. Analytics-wise, that tells you that's 11 wins of value to start the season that's in your training room. A lot of talent missing from the roster, and it's a kind of a tenuous goaltending situation between Swayman and Ullmark. And if your defense is not as good, that's going to put stress on your goaltenders. So again, tread water early, get healthy late. I don't know that the Bruins have as many points as they had a year ago, where I think they had 107. I don't know they have as many points. But you just got to do enough to get in, and if you're rolling at the right time, that is ultimately what you're looking for. And it does look like Ullmark is going to be the goaltender tonight. I believe he's getting the start. Both him and Swayman made 41 appearances last year, and TC is a Swayman guy. He wants to see Swayman be the guy. I wouldn't put too much stock into who is starting on night one. Jim Montgomery has even said, like, his way of handling goaltenders, or his belief about goaltenders, is really, look, you need a number one when you get to the playoffs. You probably want to identify who that number one is by the time you get to the trade deadline. Who starts is not as important as who finishes. As long as Swayman plays well, he's going to continue to get chances. And frankly, if both Swayman and Ullmark are playing well, then that's a problem that you want to have. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Texter says, my biggest loss is that the girl who refused to dance with me at the senior prom. That's a good answer. That's probably the first or second time I've laughed in 24 hours since the Mariners loss. That's probably the first or second time. I once asked a girl to a 7th grade dance. She said no, she wasn't going, and then went with someone else. That one hurt too. But that should make you feel better. So we've all got our story about things like that, too. So 802-585-3026, Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury. Text line, again, you can get in at 802-585-3026. Let's get to who's saying what.
Whoa. What did he say?
They have an expensive but totally unimpressive receiving core, and they have at absolute best, at most charitable, the 9th best quarterback in their own conference.
They really said that?
Every damn thing is politics and race, and I'm losing my mind over it.
It's time for Who's Saying What on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Who's Saying What is brought to you by Vermont Laser Wash. That's Central Vermont's home of unlimited car washes. So if you want unlimited car washes as the winter months approach, just $20 a month. That's it, $20 a month. If you want one free car wash to test it all out, well, just text the word Vermont to the number 30, followed by 400. So we did get an injury report out of Foxborough today. Remember, Patriots and Browns are coming up on Sunday in Week 6 of the NFL season. So Mac Jones, listed as a limited participant, reportedly looked a little better at practice today, moving around a little better, putting some weight on his plant leg. Here's what Mike Reese of ESPN said earlier today before the official injury designation came out. This was him early this morning on Mac.
He wants to come back, obviously. Here's what I understand to be the truth. He's a little more than halfway back in his rehab or process here. So I guess the question would be what number do you put it at that you'd be comfortable putting him out there? To me, that's too early. Way too early to come back. But it wouldn't shock me if he tries because he cares. He wants his job. You see someone else doing his job, you wouldn't be human, right, if you didn't try to come back. My gut tells me it's too early, but I want to see what he looks like in practice.
All right, so again, he wanted to see what he looked like in practice. Report was a little bit better, but Mike Reese says he's got Mac at about 50%. He thinks that's too early. I agree with him. I absolutely agree with Mike. The question becomes, at what percentage are Mac and the Patriots comfortable putting him out there? I'm going to maintain the same thoughts I've had all along. I wouldn't play him until he's at least 75%. 75% for me is the raw number. If he is not healthy enough to simply help the team, and if he's not healthy enough to protect himself from a pass rush, then he should not be playing at all. I think 75% is the number where I look at it and say he can probably do those things. 75% of Mac, I think, is better than 100% of Bailey Zappi. That is where I would go with that. He needs to be able to avoid the rush, and that's doubly important this week with Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney waiting for him on the other side. If Mike Reese is right and Mac's about 50%, I'd still sit him this week. I would. You have Garrett. You have Clowney on the other side. And frankly, I think, again, this is set to be a run-dominant game plan. And if this is going to be a run-dominant game plan, then I don't need to force Mac in there. Right? The Browns are in the bottom 5 of most rush defense categories. Bottom 5 in yards allowed, bottom 5 in yards per carry allowed, bottom 5 in rushing touchdowns allowed. So they're bottom 5 in most rushing categories. I think I even saw them dead last in one major defensive analytics category. So this game is likely to be a run-dominant game plan. If that's the case, then I don't need to force Mac. If it was going to be like, hey, we got to throw it all over the yard today to win, then Mac would probably be my choice if he was healthy enough. That's not going to be the case here. The quarterback in this game is going to throw between 15 and 23 passes, I'm sure, and I trust that Bailey Zappi can do that. Hey, we're going to hand off to Ramondre Stevenson a bunch, and Zappi's going to get the ball out of his hands and throw a quick slant and throw a bubble screen and throw 1 or 2 deep play action shots. If that's what the game plan is going to be, I think Zappi can execute it. I don't need to put Mac at risk. Tom Curran, NBC Sports Boston, he talked about if he thinks Mac should play.
If he can escape capably without extreme pain and run away from defenders and move in the pocket, get him out there. Have him play. He's a better player than Bailey Zappi. He knows more. He's more accurate. He's got a stronger arm. Get him out there and have him play.
Yeah, I agree with that if he can do all those things. If he can do all that, then play. But my guess is that he can't. If he's 50%, and with this game plan against that opponent, I don't think it's worth it. It's just that simple. I just don't think it's worth it. Because I think Zappi can handle, right? The Browns are a team, They have explosive playmakers. They have Nick Chubb. They have Kareem Hunt. They have Amari Cooper. They have David Njoku. They have good players. But they're limited at quarterback with Jacoby Brissett. I don't see the Browns against the Patriots defense scoring 35 points, right? If the Lions couldn't get any, I don't think the Browns are scoring 35. So I don't think this becomes a shootout. I think with the Browns, you could play a 17-13 game. And I trust Bailey Zappi to execute that. If it was going to be 42-38, you need Mac. But I don't think that's where this is going to go. I do not think that that's where this is going to go. So if Mac's only 50%, I'd be sitting him this week. It is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. We're going to hear a little bit from Freddie Coleman of ESPN Radio coming up in our next segment. I spoke to him earlier today, but Scott in Heinsberg continuing to get in on devastating losses and my Mariners loss. He says, if you don't prepare yourself for the possibility of losing, it really hurts. When you've already seen it happen, you kind of prepare yourself mentally. It softens the blow a bit. Oh, I predicted the Mariners are going to lose. Like I've seen that dance before. I spend every game thinking that the Mariners are going to lose. That's just the way I am, right? I am not an optimistic fan for the most part. I'm a negative fan because I've been calloused over for 20 years of garbage that I've watched. Like I expect the 3-run homer to come. I expect the leadoff walk to come. I expect the bases loaded 1-out double play to come when my team's at bat. Now, this year's Mariners team is starting to change that, but it's still in me. Like yesterday, when you walked the 9-hitter, I knew bad things were coming. That's exactly what happened. Bad things came. I knew it was coming. I didn't know how they were going to lose. I didn't know how they were going to rip my heart out, but I knew it was coming. I knew they were going to rip my heart out, and they did. So I prepared myself for it. I've already told myself going in, the Mariners are playing with house money. They're not as good as the Astros. They're likely to lose. So I'm prepared for that. What I hate is that, I hate that it came at the hands of the Astros. I hate that team. So frustrating for sure. We do it all again tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Tomorrow's a new day. It's baseball, right? Mariners can come out and win 1-0 tomorrow. They can come out and win 8-1. My gut tells me they're going to get pummeled. My gut tells me there's no coming back from what happened. But that's why they play the game. It is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. I want to get more into the Patriots quarterback conundrum right now. We talked yesterday, right, about Bill Belichick not guaranteeing Mac the starting job when he's healthy. He's still not guaranteeing Mac the starting job when he's healthy. One former Patriot says, Bill could just be trying to motivate Mac. My question is that the right tactic to employ here with your young quarterback? We'll talk about it all next here on WDEV, AM and FM.
Looking for a little more art in your life? Discover the rich arts and culture scene right in downtown Waterbury. Find the perfect artwork to add to your home, whether you prefer pretty paintings and photographs or stunning ceramic sculptures. Find something that combines form and function, or stock up on supplies to keep you busy through fall and winter. Or take a self-guided tour of Waterbury's fantastic public arts in downtown and beyond. While you're looking, keep an eye out for the architecture and other landmarks, or combine it with a historic walking tour. Discover the creative side of Waterbury. Learn more at discoverwaterbury.com.
Hi, Nicole here, owner of Stowe Street Cafe, located at 29 Stowe Street right here in Waterbury Village. We're proud to be Waterbury's community-minded cafe, featuring local coffee, food, and art, including delicious breakfast, lunch, and weekend brunch, with a wonderfully unique collection of art and gifts made in Vermont and beyond. Come in to order, eat, and shop, and for even quicker orders to go, order ahead online at stowestreetcafe.com. Our dining room's open, as well as our beautiful deck and patio. Come discover why Stowe Street Cafe is so much more than just a coffee shop.
Attract the birds to your feeder this year with a great selection of premium bird seeds at family-owned Guy's Farm and Yard stores. Keep the unwanted critters out of your feeders with new critter-resistant feeders and attachments to your feeders to stop the little robbers. Guy's has your pets well-nourished with top-of-the-line pet foods, accessories, toys, beds, and kennels. Questions? Ask the experts at Guy's Farm and Yard, Portland Street, Morrisville, Berry Street, Montpelier, Taft Corners, Williston, and Fairfax Road, St. Albans.
Whatever your interest, sports.
I think the Celtics are
current events.
We're stepping the primary campaign up a bit.
If you do get the tomato hornworm, you're going to see them a lot sooner.
Weather.
You may have heard of the word derecho.
What is the derecho? Well,
WDEV has a podcast for you. Locally produced podcasts of our own shows and podcasts from our partners at CBS and ESPN. To access the full listing of podcasts, go to our website at WDEVradio.com.
Red cedar and hemlock clapboards are available at Cleveland Cedar Products in Wolcott. They have many hard-to-find siding products. Don't let fall weather slow your siding project. Get Cleveland Cedar Products help with pre-staining. Their quality is unmatched, and their prices are the best anywhere. Log on to cedarguide.com and let Henry and his family provide their best products and 40 years of siding experience. Cleveland Cedar Products, Route 15, just 3 miles west of Wolcott Village.
WDEV also serves the Northeast Kingdom at 101.9 W270BR Island Pond.
The world is a constantly changing place, and being informed has never been more important. This is Steve Kathan. WDEV, Vermont's news station, and CBS provide you with up-to-the-minute news and information. Whether it's top and bottom of the hour news, breaking news, or special events, if Vermonters need to know, you can trust that WDEV and CBS will inform you. WDEV, keeping an eye on Vermont, while CBS keeps an eye on the world.
Want Brady to hear your opinion on the sports stories of the day? Text in at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Reminder, the show is brought to you in part by Pro Driver Training. That's Pro Driver Training, Vermont's premier truck driver training school. They're online at ProDriverCDL.com. Can help you with your Class A CDL, your Class B CDL, passenger, and advanced skills training as well. You'll hear a little bit from my conversation with Freddie Coleman in the next couple of minutes, Freddie from ESPN Radio. But I want to go back to Patriots quarterbacking. Is Bill Belichick trying to motivate Mac Jones? And what I'm getting at is this. Yesterday we talked at length about why Bill Belichick has not just said that when Mac's healthy, Mac's our guy, right? Even today, Bill Belichick did not say that, right? He was asked, can Bailey Zappi hold on to the job? He wouldn't answer that. Is Mac guaranteed to be the starter again? He wouldn't answer that. So, yes, sir. Why will Bill not do that? And then I thought about something interesting that I heard former Patriots linebacker Ted Johnson say recently. He actually said this on Sunday night after the Patriots win.
It could not have happened any better for Bill Belichick today to have his third-string quarterback go out there and play like he did, because all that's going to do, and Bill knows it, even in his post-game comments about Bailey Zappi, he sees the field. Yes, he knows what he's seeing, and he can come back and communicate it to us. I've never heard him say that about Mac Jones. So that's all going to be tweaking Mac Jones, and Bill loves that.
So that's Ted Johnson thinks that Bill Belichick is effusive in his praise of Zappi to kind of motivate Mac. And then maybe in the same breath, Belichick is not guaranteeing Mac the starting job as a way to keep Mac motivated. So my question is, look, that is possible, right? Motivation is a tactic that great leaders use. Bill Belichick, Phil Jackson, they all use the Zen, they called it with Jackson. They all use motivational tactics. But I really do hope that that's not what's going on here. Right? I really hope that's not what's going on here, because sometimes a young player like Mac Jones needs to know that you believe in them and doesn't need to go about doubting themselves. I understand Bill Belichick not guaranteeing Mac the job for life and not allowing him to rest on his laurels. And I understand not wanting Mac to think there's no accountability. But I also don't think making Mac Jones sing for his supper all the time is the right way to handle this. I just don't. If Bill Belichick is talking over the top about Zappi to get under Mac's skin, I think that I have a problem with that tactic. If he's not guaranteeing Mac the job to make Mac sing for his supper, I have a problem with that too. Mac Jones is pretty intrinsically motivated, at least the picture that we get. I don't believe that Belichick putting the pressure on him is necessarily the way that we need to go here. Mac Jones is already doing it to himself. All Bill Belichick is doing, in my mind, is forcing Mac to try to play maybe earlier than he needs to, right? Because think about how Mac hears this. Mac hears Belichick talk about Zappe, and Mac hears Belichick talk about how good Zappe's doing, and Mac hears Belichick not guarantee the job, and he's thinking, man, I better get back out there. And now Mac's thinking, I got to put myself out there and put myself out there at risk, and that's not what needs to happen. Or Belichick, Mac's like, oh, man, when I do get out there, I can't do this, I can't do that, I don't want to make a mistake. And now you're not playing free and you're not playing loose. I'm just not into this particular case, right? Some guys need a kick in the pants. That's absolutely true. And some guys will respond to this. I don't think Mac Jones is that guy. All we've heard about with Mac Jones is how motivated he is and what a good leader he is and how good at preparing he is. Mac is already doing these things. All Bill Belichick is doing, in my opinion, is making him insecure, making him doubt himself, and then when he does come out there and play, potentially making him come out and play without the same aggressiveness. Look, the thing with Mac Jones that hurt him early in the year was not physical, it was decision-making. So I agree, Mac needs to make some better decisions. But by and large, I still want Mac to play aggressive. I still want Mac to, be the leader and play free. And all Belichick do, all this mental manipulation, I think all it's doing is making Mac play more constricted. And I don't think that that's good. Right? Look, I know that every person is different. I can tell you that I have insecurities. Right? And I'm not afraid to admit it. We all have insecurities in one way or another, but I've got insecurities. If I heard, let's just say this. If I went on vacation for a week and somebody filled in on this show, and then I came back and I heard the boss say something like, hey man, that guy who filled in for Brady, he was really good. We could use him more often. Brady, when are you going on vacation again? That would not make me feel good. Right? That would not make me feel good. I'd be thinking, man, I've delivered here. I've been here. I started this show. I've been here every day. Why are you talking so highly about that guy? You never talked that highly about me. And that's what Mac is hearing, right? Mac hasn't heard Bill Belichick talk about how great Mac is this year, but he's hearing him talk about Zappe. That's not making me feel good. And if Belichick's trying to motivate him, I don't think Mac needs to be motivated like that. Mac is already motivated internally. That is who he is, and we have heard that throughout. So I am not buying this. Some guys need to have their backs against the wall, and some guys need a kick to get going. Mac, to me, is not that guy. So if Bill Belichick is trying to motivate Mac, I don't think this is the way to go about it. I just don't think this is the way to go about it. It is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. I talked about some of that with Freddie Coleman, our ESPN radio insider, Freddie and Fitzsimmons, weeknights at 9 p.m. So I started out we talked for about 12 minutes. The full interview is already up on our podcast channel. You're going to hear about the best 6 of it right here. You'll hear a lot on what we just talked about Mac and about Zappe and about Belichick. But I started out asking him, in honor of the Mariners' loss yesterday, the most crushing loss he ever suffered as a fan.
Our most crushing loss as a fan, boy, as a Jets fan and a Knicks fan, and a Mets fan, I've gone through a lot of crushing losses. Game 7 of the 2006 National League Championship Series against the St. Louis Cardinals, 1998 AFC Championship game up 10-0 against the Denver Broncos. But for me, it goes back to Game 7. 1994, New York Knicks in the NBA Finals after they had a 3-2 series lead. And even though they lost Game 6, and it's choking me up right now just thinking about it, Brady. I thought that we had a chance in Game 7, but it didn't work out. John Starks 2 for 18 from the three-point line. That still crushes me to this day.
It's interesting, and I was talking about this earlier today. Would you agree that it hurts more when you're younger. Like yesterday hurt, and I know it was only the ALDS. I might change my mind if this had been the ALCS or the World Series, but I think I'm forever going to be scarred more by when I was 12 years old, the 2001 Mariners winning 116 games and getting bounced in the ALCS. I still can't look at Al Harris after the Al Harris pick six against Matt Hasselbeck that we want the ball, we're going to score when I was like 14. I feel like the kid memories are going to scar me more than yesterday.
I don't know, man. I tell you what, I've had a lot of things that scarred me as a kid, but nothing scars you more when you're old enough to know better, because you don't know how many opportunities are going to be there for your team. When you're a kid, you always believe that your team has success, that it's going to happen next year. You don't realize how hard it is to win a playoff game, much less a playoff series, much less a championship. But as you get older, Brady, you understand how it really is tough to do those things, especially if you're a fan of an organization that has never won a championship, or if you're a fan of an organization that it seems like it's been centuries between winning championships. I think as you get older, it hurts a lot more because you understand exactly the process, how tough it is to not only be relevant, but stay relevant and hope that you're relevant enough to win a championship.
You know what frustrates me even more is that, so the game yesterday was 3:40, right? And I'm on the air 4 to 7, right? Doing news 4 to 5:30, this show 5:30 until 7. So I've been taping these games, avoiding contact, avoiding social media, taping the games, living in the hermit kingdom and watching them later. So I didn't get to, I didn't see the final result until 9:15 last night. I go back to my phone and I look and see that clearly the game ended at 7:15 because I had 7 messages from people saying, wow, what the F? What the hell just happened? Can't believe that. And I'm like, there are some people that I barely know that just have my number that aren't friends with me that decided to text me. I am more mad at those people for texting me. Like, we all just saw what the hell happened. You don't need to message me and ask me that. I am more mad at those people than I am at Robbie Ray.
With you on that one, but I'm amazed in 21st century social media and having all avenues to find out information that you were able to avoid the final result for another 2 hours. I am stunned that did not leak out somewhere, that you weren't able to find that information somewhere, Brady. Kudos to you being able to make that work, because more than ever before, trying to make sure you don't find out about information, and we work in the information business. Man, oh, man, I need to find your sugar to find out how you were able to sprinkle that around to make sure you didn't find out the end result.
Well, it's crazy because it was impossible. I did it, but it was very, very difficult. And, I almost shut down our show text line to avoid leaks. I kind of went to it periodically throughout. What I was worried, as I shut down social media completely, my biggest fear is that we were going to get breaking Patriots news that I didn't see. That was my biggest fear. I took the gamble and it worked, but that was my biggest fear.
Well, you know what they say about gambles. When you have a chance to gamble, you're gambling and hoping more than gambling and thinking it's actually going to work. And the breaking news of the Patriots, the fact that they were able to shut out Detroit and score 29 points. So I think that was enough breaking news that you didn't have to worry about for 1 week.
Freddie Coleman, ESPN Radio, with us here on the Brady Farkas Show. He's with Freddie and Fitzsimmons weeknights at 9 p.m. Let's go to the Patriots. Here's what's very interesting to me. In 2020, when Cam Newton wasn't playing particularly well, every week Bill Belichick went to the podium and said, Cam's our quarterback. Cam's our quarterback. Cam's our guy. He shut down all speculation. Why is he not giving Mac Jones the same guarantees now?
Boy, that's a good question. The reason, Brady, that he's not doing that is because everybody knows that Mac Jones is their quarterback, and there's not going to be any conversation about Bailey Zappi taking his job. So that's why he doesn't feel the need to put news out there that is not news to him. He's not about trying to cause any kind of controversy and pumping up Bailey Zappi. He knows what Zappi's been able to do, being a quarterback for a game and a half where they almost pulled out the victory versus Green Bay, and they were able to go out there and beat the spit out of the Detroit Lions in all phases of football. But he knows that Mac Jones is his quarterback. That's why they drafted him in the first round. He's not just a quarterback of the future, he's a quarterback of the present. So he doesn't feel the need to tell anybody something like that when there's no doubt where that pecking order is, that he is going to be QB1. And when he's ready to come back in, no matter what Bailey Zappi has been able to do, that's the guy they want. That's the guy they believe can be that next generational quarterback that can make the Patriots a championship team again. He's not about to waste his breath telling people that I'm solid in the corner of my quarterback. Everybody knows that. Mac Jones knows that. Even Bailey Zappi knows that. there's no need to put news out there that is not news when it comes to Bill Belichick in that situation.
You know, Mike Reese of ESPN said that Mac Jones is about halfway through his recovery, so 50%. We've talked about at what percentage would you put Mac back out there. I guess my question is, would you hold him off from Cleveland given their pass rush? Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, if he's 50, 60%, do you play him because he's theoretically ready, or do you hold him off based on your opponent specifically?
I don't think it matters who the opponent is. If he's not 100% ready, you can't put him out there because everybody has somebody that can get after the quarterback and rush the quarterback. And why would you want to put a compromised quarterback out there? That should not be based on the opponent, Brady. I don't care if you're playing the fearsome foursome from the Los Angeles Rams or the 46 defense, the Chicago Bears, or the Baltimore Ravens defense. You can be playing the worst defense in the world. But if your quarterback is compromised and he is not able to escape the rush, move around the pocket, then you're not doing anybody any favors on your football team and in your organization by putting him out there before he's ready. He's got to be closer to 100%. It can't just be about 50, 60%, no matter who the opponent is, before you believe Mac Jones is going to be ready to be out there once again, a quarterback for the Patriots.
All right, that was my best 6 minutes with Freddie Coleman of ESPN Radio, with me every Wednesday here in some capacity on the Brady Farkas Show on DEV. The full interview with Freddie already available on our podcast channel. That's on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. It's interesting, Freddie's take on the Mac stuff. He thinks it's just a case of Belichick not needing to have the discussion. Now, that's interesting. But Belichick is smart and plugged in, obviously. He's got to know that the things he does will create a reaction. And I would just come out and say, Mac is our guy, and leave it at that. Like, just leave it at that. And if I'm Mac, I'm feeling insecure about this whole thing, okay? Think about it like a relationship, right? You're married to your wife, okay? You know your wife loves you. But if she never says it, aren't you a little bit insecure? And then if your wife comes home and she never tells you she loves you, but she's talking about how great the guy in the cubicle next to her is, aren't you a little bit frustrated by that too? That to me is not motivating me. If I am Mac, I'm not motivated by this. So I hope Belichick's not employing a motivational tactic, because to me, it wouldn't work. And when Freddie says, he just doesn't need to have the discussion, well, then great. Still come out and say it once. You don't need to say it every day, but come out and say it once, because just once, I need to hear that you love me, right? Just once. Babe, you don't got to tell me every night that you love me. You don't got to kiss me to bed or kiss me before bed every night, but just once, I want to hear it from your lips that you love me. And that's what I need if I were Mac Jones. Call me petty, call me insecure, but sure, that's what I'd want. If I'm Mac, if Freddie says Bill doesn't need to make it known because it's already known, tell me one time anyways. Just say it one time publicly anyways, so I have it on record. That's how I feel. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. When we come back, Pat Patriot made his debut for the season last Sunday. Should the Patriots bring back the red uniforms permanently? We'll discuss it. That's next on DEV.
Hi, folks. Yankee here at Lamoille Valley Ford with a special announcement. The fall foliage blowout sale is on at Lamoille Valley Ford. Business is off the charts here at Lamoille Valley, and with tons of inventory in stock and on the way, we're on a mission to move out the 22s. Right, kids?
Spot on, Dan. Despite what you're seeing and hearing out there, I want you to know that at Lamoille Valley Ford, not only is our lot loaded with Ford Escapes, Bronco Sports, Edges, Explorers, and hands down the largest inventory of Ford trucks in Vermont, we also have over 300 new Fords in the pipeline. And because of that huge inventory, we've now taken in dozens of clean, one-owner, late-model cars, trucks, and SUVs, and they're available for immediate delivery. More importantly, we're ready to make deals and earn your business today. So listen to this offer just in time for winter driving. Come make your best deal on any in-stock, new or pre-owned SUV, and Lamoille Valley Ford will include 4 snow tires for just $1.
Woo! So drive routes 14, 15, or 16 to Hardwick and save big during the fall foliage blowout sale happening now at Lamoille Valley Ford.
Hi, this is Anson Tebbets, co-host of For the Birds, heard Saturdays on WDEV. Each week, Chip Darmstadt and I discuss bird sightings, bird counts, and activity at your feeder. You also can listen anytime to podcasts on Apple, Google, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Join us Saturdays at 7:30 and 12:15 for the birds 28 years on WDEV AM and FM and streaming at WDEVradio.com.
At Union Bank, we've been traveling the back roads and main routes of Vermont and New Hampshire for generations. So when it comes to mortgages, we know the local landscape and the best way to get you home. Union Bank, stay local, go far. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Hi, I'm Albert from Waterbury Service Center on Main Street in Waterbury. Now is the time to buy winter tires or to do winter tire changeovers. Bring your vehicle in and we'll change your tires and give your car, truck, or SUV a cold weather check over. Worn belts, hoses, battery tests, coolant, and thermostat check. Check it now to prevent yourself and your family from being stranded. We'll keep you and your vehicle ready for all the winter challenges ahead. Call us at 244-7202. That's 244-7202. Waterbury Service Center.
As the temps start to dip down and the seasons change, think Waterbury Sports. Hey, this is Caleb. Fall soccer is here and hockey is on the way. We have the gear you need to get everyone in the family set up for the field or on the ice. If you're still hanging on to nicer weather, get a great deal on a new bike or a new stand-up paddleboard, both on sale now while supplies last. Remaining bike accessories are on sale too, as are summer sandals and other footwear. Waterbury Sports, your source for great gear and great deals in downtown Waterbury, Vermont.
As Vermonters, we know that so much depends on the weather. When you need a reliable local weather forecast, it's literally at your fingertips with the WDEV weather phone. Locally dial 244-1172 or toll free at 1-800-585-1211. Roger Hill's weather forecast is just a phone call away on the WDEV weather phone, 244-1172 or 1-800-585-1211.
The Brady Farkas Show now has an interactive text line, so reach out now at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Tomorrow, another full show, all 90 minutes. Tomorrow, we will be once again implementing the Mariners postseason protocols. So, no spoilers, people. Ralph, I'm looking at you, my guy Ralph, and I like Ralph. Ralph in New York. He texted yesterday. I went back and saw it today, saying Mariners up 6-3, top 7. I don't want that stuff. I don't want it. That's 100%. I can promise you, I don't want updates. So back in Mariners protocol tomorrow, and we'll be on for a full 90 minutes. We will talk to Buster Olney of ESPN. Buster will not be live tomorrow because he's working playoff broadcasts and traveling. So you won't hear anything about, the Mariners game that's happening currently that I'm avoiding tomorrow. We'll be talking to him earlier in the morning, but Buster will be with me tomorrow at 5:45. Always appreciate Buster Olney with us every Thursday. As for now, kind of a fun topic, quickly need your input on 802-585-3026. Patriots, they broke out the red uniforms, the Pat Patriot logo over the weekend. Do you want the Patriots to go back to those uniforms permanently? A simple question. Yes or no? Pat Patriot, do you want him back permanently? 802-585-3026. Tom Curran of NBC Sports Boston, he wasn't talking about bringing him back permanently, but he did have a comment on the uniforms.
I like it. I really do. And there's a point at which you start to say, okay, people are just over the top because it's novel. When you see that blood red with the white, it just stands out. And you know what? The blue, even though they've had so much success in it, the Navy, I look at it, Kay, and I say to myself, it doesn't stand out the way the white and the red does.
Yeah, the white and red does stand out. I am conflicted on this. I love the Pat Patriot uniforms, and I think they are great. I would prefer to see them, though, with red socks. Okay, if they were wearing red socks, I'd feel better about them. Man, do I want them all the time? I really do love the Patriots all blues. When they made the change to go to the all blues, like the Color Rush uniforms, I think those are awesome, too. I'm not like a huge fan of the Pats road jerseys. The Pats are the only team that don't have white pants in their uniform set, right? Like the Patriots wear blue tops with blue pants, and they wear white tops with blue pants. They have no white pants, no silver pants, nothing. They're the only team in the league to not have white pants. So I'm not like super crazy about the road uniforms. I don't hate them, but I'm not super crazy about them. I love the all blue jerseys they have. I would say I'd be all for going to the Pat Patriot uniforms again if they wore Red Sox. Okay? Bailey Zappi last week was wearing white tights. Some guys are wearing white socks with some red striping. I just want high Red Sox. That's what I want. Couple players had them. Matt Judon had them, and he looked great. So if everybody looked like him, I'd be good with it. That's where I'm at. And then I'd probably keep the Color Rush Blues as an alternate that I would wear, because I do like those a lot. But yes, Pat Patriot, red uniforms, red socks, white pants. That I'm down for. Don't want the white socks. Don't want the white tights showing. Not in on that. So 802, like Kyle Duggar, I'm looking at him. He's wearing Nah, I'm not good with that. Texter says, yeah, Sam Cunningham, John Hanna, Steve Grogan, bring them back. Texter says, I don't care as long as they win. Yeah, that's fine, but you still want your team. You still want a uniform that you can get behind. So yes, I would go with the Reds if they had the Red Sox, and keep the all blues in there as an alternate. And then the Pats on the road, if they did that, it would be all whites, which are a little bit boring. Not, all white, a little bit boring, but maybe they could bring a red pants set in as an alternate. Maybe they even had a red pants set back in the day. I shouldn't speak so quickly here. Now I got to look up like old Patriot uniforms from the past and see. I'm trying to find a picture of Doug Flutie. There he is, white on white. Someone else could tell me if there was ever white on red. I'd probably bring white on red as an alternate. It appears that it was white on white only, but I'd probably bring white on red as an alternate. So there you go. There's me giving fashion advice. So, and fashion takeaways. So thanks to Tom Caron. Thanks to Freddie Coleman. Thanks to all of you for listening. And the full show podcast will be available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and WDEVradio.com a little bit later tonight. Probably get it up here within the next hour or so. That's kind of how long it takes to do everything. But Jazz with George Thomas is coming up next right here on WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Back at it tomorrow with Buster Olney. He will be with us, and he will give us his takeaways on the Major League Baseball playoffs. But again, no Mariners updates. Playoff protocol, people. We'll see you tomorrow here on DEV.
Something fun is invading. Ready to play? Introducing Galaga Cash Instant Ticket from the Vermont